Part 28. Breaking free from financial colonialism. Africa's path to economic independence. Africa is rich in resources but poor in financial sovereignty. While nations dig gold, drill oil, and harvest rare minerals, their wealth is controlled by foreign banks, the IMF and the World Bank, and the US dollar system. This is financial colonialism, a system where Africa's economy is not truly African. My name is Abeba. For Africa to rise as a global power, it must take control of its financial systems, stop relying on foreign loans, and create its own economic strategies. The chain of Africa's financial system must be as follows. The IMF and the World Bank trap. These institutions claim to help Africa, but instead keep it in endless debt cycles, forcing governments to privatize national assets and cut public services. The West controls African currencies through the dollar, the euro, and the CFA franc, making it impossible for African economies to be truly independent. Most African banks are controlled by foreign interests, meaning African money is sent abroad instead of being reinvested in Africa. Africa's gold, oil, and diamonds are sold in US dollars on foreign markets, ensuring profits go to multinational corporations, not African nations. This is how Africa can take back financial control. A single African currency backed by gold, oil, and natural resources can free Africa from the dollar and euro, creating true economic sovereignty. The BRICS is another, but it's not in the option here. Africa's wealth must benefit Africans. Oil, mineral, and farmland should be owned by African governments and people, not foreign investors. Africa must develop its own financial institutions, similar to how BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa is creating alternatives to the Western banking system. So there is a need to exit the IMF and World Bank. Instead of relying on New York or London, Africa needs its own financial markets where African businesses and governments can raise capital without foreign interference, meaning you need to develop an African stock exchange. Apologies. Invest in local manufacturing and technology. Instead of exporting raw materials and importing expensive finished goods, Africa must build factories, process its own resources, and create its own industries. Here are the questions for you. Should Africa completely abandon the IMF and World Bank to escape debt slavery? Why does Africa sell gold in dollars instead of using gold to back its own currency? Can Africa trade with other global powers like BRICS without being manipulated? Should African countries ban foreign ownership of land, banks, and natural resources? Is African currency the key to economic independence, or would it cause instability? Here is the truth. Without financial sovereignty, political independence is meaningless. Africa must control its wealth, or it will always be controlled. In part 29, we will dive into Africa's media landscape, how foreign-owned media shapes narratives, spreads propaganda, and keeps Africans blind to their own power. Thank you very much.